everyone, Dr. Lisa Faast here, and I am going to be going through and doing some website evaluations today. This is really the first of maybe what will be a few of these. We posted on social media for anybody who wanted us to evaluate their website, because I kind of get asked a lot like, hey, what do you think of my website? So rather than kind of keep doing them privately, I figured you all would like to see what, I kind of look at in terms when I look at a pharmacy's website. Website is so critical, especially when you're in healthcare and when you have a brick and mortar presence. Most people think websites might just be for e-commerce, but I think specifically for healthcare and for pharmacies, it's really important that you have a functional website. So to help me out with this, I have invited AJ from Drugstore2Door to help me out with this. Drugstore2Door is a wonderful company that actually helps pharmacies build websites. So they do this all day, every day. And they really focus on really monetizing your website. So you're basically making money 24/7. So AJ, go ahead and introduce yourself for people who may not know you real quick and tell a little bit about Drugstore2Door.
You got it. Thanks, Lisa. Glad to be here. This will be exciting. We go through sites all the time. I'm AJ Asgary. I'm CEO and founder of Drugstore2Door. I'm also a pharmacist. I'm a multi-pharmacy owner. So I'm very much in the weeds. I know this stuff, live this stuff, breathe this stuff personally. We started a company that not only focuses on websites, but it also, as you mentioned, helps pharmacies generate revenue 24/7, utilizing the tools that we built into these websites. And to give you the most simplistic version, we've packed in turnkey e-commerce, turnkey RX solutions, and turnkey booking features all into one place. So when somebody visits a pharmacy's independent site, they've got access to everything that pharmacy is able to provide to their patient base.
Yeah, so you're here to help give that expert opinion, because I am certainly, I build websites, I've built my own websites, I'm a marketing geek, but I do not do it all day, every day. And so I'm going to give you, the listener and watcher, some of my tips and tricks, and AJ is going to pop in with some of his suggestions. And then hopefully, as you guys watch this, you'll learn something even about your own website. So if we're not evaluating your website, you'll still be able to take some of the information that we give you and go implement it for you. And if you want help making your website better, highly recommend AJ. Go see what they have to offer and do that. So this is going to be very organic and kind of set it up. So when we asked on social media, we actually had a huge response, much more than we thought was going to be. So what I did is I went and I grabbed a bunch from some of the early ones that responded, and then just kind of randomly picked some. And so we're going to start today and kind of see what we can get through in the time that we have. And really important to note that we have not pre-looked at these websites. We did not meet before. We did not look at these websites because we wanted to give you that first impression, which is really what your patients, your doctors, your prescribers, the people in your town, that's all they're going to get. So we didn't do any sophisticated analysis or something like that. Like, this really is going to be like first impressions feedback on a particular website. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first up, here's a website that you are going to want to write down and then just favorite or star in your browser. This is Google's Page Speed Insights, and this is something that I have learned. So if I ever want to get a little bit on the technical side, how does Google look at your web page? This is where you want to go, and you will see what it's looking at. So I'm going to grab our first pharmacy's web address here, stick it in Page Insights, and it'll give you kind of a score. And this is basically how Google is looking at your website. And Google's opinion of your website is very, very important. They take that into consideration of how you rank, keywords, and how they show your results on the page, and all those kinds of things. AJ, do you want to add any other information of like how important this is, of like Google, of how they look at your website and what it means for like all the other places your website shows up?
Yeah, it's super important. The thing, as we start to dive into these sites, we'll look at things, and I'm sure, Lisa, you'll be looking for the same, original content, how much content's actually on the site, what they're focused on, all of those other things will play into, how Google's really taking in the content on the site. And then, people throw around words like SEO and all this stuff all the time. That uniqueness really comes into play. So tools like this are fantastic. And as we start to dive into these sites, we can click on some of those triggers to say, hey, are you getting real organic content here that's going to help you out?
Yep. So this is completely free. This isn't like a subscription or anything. Anybody can go on here, stick in your website. So as we can see right here on the mobile, there's a performance score of 37, which is in the red. So they make it pretty easy to understand. Am I in the red? Am I in the yellow and the green? You know, we all understand that tricolor. Obviously you want to be in the green. So you want to be at a 90 or above. And then it tells you, you know, what's causing those problems. So usually slow websites. Google hates slow websites. And frankly, Google hates slow websites because we as consumers hate slow websites. I don't know about you, but if you go to a website and it takes longer than like a breath to load, we all go, ugh. And then like we leave. And even though it's literally seconds, the world of the internet moves faster than that. So that is why when we look at it here, where it looks at the speed, that's what's so critical for Google. Let me switch over to the desktop because these can actually be quite different. Oh yeah, and this one, it is quite different to go from a 37 to a 77. A lot of times pharmacies forget about the mobile. I've been guilty of this myself, even building my own website. I forget to check the mobile version. And so this just goes to show that, you know, this website is performing better on the desktop, but we all know that consumers are mobile people. I know when I travel a lot and I need to look up a pharmacy, I certainly am not doing it from a desktop. I am doing it from my phone. So mobile is very important there. Is there anything on these particular things, AJ, that you particularly look at?
No, but you made a great point. You know, the old school methodology was go create websites from a desktop version and then just make them modifiable for the cell phones or tablets or whatever people are using. We're so attached to our devices. I would almost encourage the opposite. Make sure that mobile view, the feel, the shopping experience, whatever it is that's on your site, how they're going to find you. I would start mobile and work backwards towards desktop. Or do them together so that you're really analyzing what that mobile experience is like, and you're not just letting a default mobile experience show up. Because just think about how many times outside of our working day, we're going to our laptops or our computers versus our phones. It's always our phone first. So be really cognizant of that. I see that missed a lot.
Yeah. All right. So now that we've done kind of the speed test, kind of the Google Analytics, that Google Analytics kind of means something else. I want to use the right words. Google's evaluation of your website. You know, you can take this and then share it with, you know, if you worked with somebody who did your website or something like that, and, you know, they should have the expertise to know how to improve this. It doesn't have to, you know, be a complete overhaul or something like that. So I'm going to switch over to the actual website. So this is Kemper Drugs. So thank you very much for volunteering to do this, especially to be first. And so really quick here, you know, kind of first impressions, my eyes are drawn to both the red bar across the top and the obviously bright orange box right in the middle. They both happen to be about COVID. And what I first thought when I looked at this is, why do I need, like, where do I go? Like, you have two options that are really trying to draw attention. Like, which one is more important? Like, do I want to be prepared and track updates, or do I want to click here for, you know, vaccine information? You might put just a little bit of differentiation of these. Or, you know, maybe sometimes we forget to update our website. You know, obviously COVID, when the pandemic, new information was hot and heavy there for a really long time. But frankly, it's kind of slowed. You know, the big updates now are maybe who qualifies for a booster or something like that. But maybe it's time not to have both call to actions, because as a person, I'm like, well, which one do I pick? And whenever there's confusion on a website, let me tell you, people won't make a decision. They just won't do anything. And so they'll just kind of skip it all together. You know, I love how, looking at it right here, how your address and phone number, even the texting option is front and center, and your hours are front and center. I hate having to go search and dig in a pharmacy's website for the address, phone number, and hours. So great job there from my perspective of putting that front and center, because you are a brick and mortar company. You want people to come visit you. And so you want to make it easy for them to find you. I do find it's a little weird looking at these, how they're all split up. And I was like, and Monday you're open till 7, Thursday you're open till 7, the other days till 6. I'm sure you probably have a good reason for that. But it does make it a little bit kind of harder to consume your hours. Obviously if 7 p.m. on those days is working for you, then by all means keep it. Could you get more business if you stayed open till 7 on the other days? People like consistency. So having different hours during the workday might just be causing some confusion for patients. I don't know. It may be working perfectly, but that's just, outside looking in. What do you see when looking at the homepage here, AJ?
So there's a few things that jump out. One, I can tell you just by looking at this, we looked at so many sites. I know who built this site. The other thing I'll say is, to your point, the COVID information and then the call to action. So really what you're trying to do with that big red bar and this big orange button, this is what we call objects above the fold. This is before you scroll down on a page. This is your most important grab. If I don't get to what I'm after here, forget me going to the rest of your website. So you need to be sure that whatever I'm after, I can at least get that process started right here without scrolling down your page. And if we took this into a mobile view, I'd want to make sure that it's identical. To your point, Lisa, it's great that they have their address on here with the phone number. The thing I would suggest is you can make that phone number clickable. So again, if you're on mobile and I want to call you, that should be a hyperlink to go directly to dial in, right? And so make sure that that's actually happening, because to copy and paste a number or something like that, God forbid, that's, no way, not today. So, and the other thing is, if your hours are working for you, I think they can be displayed a little bit differently. I'm in agreement with you, Lisa. It feels a little cluttered the way that they're presented underneath the address. I think that you could do it in a different way to make it feel a little less confusing.
And just kind of looking at it too, you mentioned that this is the most valuable real estate. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because above the fold is definitely important. And so just when you said that, the thing that came to mind, oops, I zoomed in, is they have the logo up here with their name, but then they also have this big bar with their name too. Like, I don't think you need two names right close together. This is valuable real estate here in the middle. Like, I'm thinking, these little blue refill and transfers, like, that's what you want, like, front and center. Because if I'm looking at it, it's like, that's right in my line of sight.
Yeah. It's what I'm asking myself right now is, what are you trying to get me to do? There's not a clear call to action. I don't know if your objective is, the only thing I would say that's screaming at me is COVID. So I don't know if it's, you want me to come get a COVID shot from you. You want me to come get COVID tests from you. I'm not really sure, other than you just have COVID screaming at me on the homepage. So really get intentional about your calls to action. So whatever your marketing mission is, your sales mission is, make sure that this portion of your website reflects that. And this hero section where you have the big COVID-19 vaccine information, you can make this a scroller as well. So it doesn't have to be one call to action. You could have 2 or 3 in this section that scroll as I'm looking for particular things, here. So again, those are design elements, but you should be able to come to a site and I should be able to point to and say, oh, you know what? They want me to shop here, or they want me to fill prescriptions here, or they want me to book a COVID vaccine here. And that message should be very clear in this site, along with all the utility.
Yeah, I think the lesson that I'm continuing to learn and get better in websites is literally telling people what you want them to do.
Yes,
and just really quick, just really quick, I'll bring up the my membership site for Diversify, and it's not beautiful, it's not perfect, but for example, I popped up this yellow bar because we have a special program that's starting on the 12th, and I literally say click sign up now in orange below. Like, yes. You really do have to. It seems redundant. It seems almost silly sometimes to get that specific, but when you're dealing with people that are scrolling, they like to follow instructions. And so I'm just getting better at this. And so you have to be really, really particular in what you want people to do. So when they're saying click here for COVID information, I haven't clicked it yet. Well, we will. But, what COVID information? Am I going to learn about how to schedule an appointment? Am I just learning about vaccine? Are you taking me to the CDC website? Like, tell me a little bit more, because there's just uncertainty there of like, what's going to happen when I click this button. So we
Right.
will come back and we will click this button later. But right now I'm going to go ahead and scroll. So the last thing of this that's above the fold, that's in the heroes, it's called, is curbside pickup available. So we encourage you to use curbside pickup, particularly if you're getting prescriptions, or you know exactly what you need from inside the store. The thing that kind of is like that is how do I do that? You know, maybe there's signs when I show up there that show me how to do that. Maybe I park in a certain spot. Maybe there's a phone number that I call. You know, but I haven't really, at that point, I don't really know exactly how to do curbside pickup is my only feedback.
Yeah, look, just a verbiage change. Ask us about our curbside pickup, right? And then a phone number or a text phone number. If you guys have two-way SMS or whatever it might be, just again, you're telling them what to do. Ask us about it. We'll tell you exactly how to do it, right?
Yep. And then lastly, I'll point out this little guide down here in the circle in the bottom right-hand corner. This is part of the accessibility. And this was a very big thing just a couple of years ago, where these law offices were targeting small businesses. And there was a couple that were particularly targeting pharmacies for not having an ADA compliant website. And so it is really important that you do have a ADA compliant website. A lot of them use this little icon, this little guy down here. So it's kind of ubiquitous. But whoever built your website, if you don't see that, or if you haven't noticed anything like that, make sure you ask them. There's plugins or those are like kind of little programs that sit on top of a website that can turn a website and make it compliant. Obviously, when people like AJ and professionals like him build websites, they do that so that you remain compliant. But it's not just a nuisance. You can actually be fined. I forget the fine totals. Was it like 20,000 or something? I don't know. It was some way high amount.
I'm converting a site right now from somebody who is in a lawsuit for over 18 months. So yeah, when you become a target, it just, you know, you become a target. So that's low hanging fruit. Just like you said, Lisa, go get a plugin or find something that at least, you know, CYA here.
Yep, absolutely. So, all right, so we're going to scroll now. So we're leaving the top and we're, you know, scrolling down. I like these kinds of ones where there shows a little bit of movement. I think it's a little bit more of a modern website. I think it looks clean. I like a lot of the use of the white space. You know, happy people hiking, you know, that kind of gives me the image of like health and wellness, those kinds of things. Honestly, if I'm scrolling this, I'm probably never reading this. There's too much text. For me, I just won't read it. So probably a lot of people just aren't reading it either. So if you really have something important to say, just use less words and highlight it. And I think for a pharmacy, I don't know about what you recommend, AJ, but a place like this, like locally loved, I would almost expect to see like testimonials underneath here. You know, hearing from your local customers and how are you locally loved kind of thing, and getting like real pictures of people and real testimonials, and that's almost like what I expected right there. What do you think?
Yeah, so you guys got to remember that this is your elevator pitch. Like what you have on your main page is to sell yourself and the things that you do. This is an about me page. Like this should be on a separate page when I want to explore more about you and know about what you do. And I've decided to dig in and I'm going to spend some time reading. I click on your about us and I go over there and I read this. If you are going to do something like this, testimonials speak volumes. So Google reviews, Google testimonies, if you're using Trustpilot, whoever you're using to get those types of reviews, remember, that's a credibility stamp. So when people come here and say, oh my gosh, Lisa had, 50 happy customers, 5-star reviews, and they're all raving here, you're selling yourself. That's part of that elevator pitch. So if you're going to take up real estate, make sure you're either talking yourself up or you're pushing whatever your mission is really clearly on this first page.
Yep. I often, I had to kind of change my brain before I got, dove deep into marketing when I, opened my first business. I thought a website was basically kind of like a brochure, like, here you're here to tell people about yourself. And really, your main homepage is really, if you think about it more, as your dating profile. Like, you want the sexy, exciting, the best looking pictures from the best angles. Like, this is like you putting your best foot forward. And having that switch in my own brain has really helped me in developing, websites for my own companies, or when I look at websites for pharmacies, is this should make me want you. Like, I want to date you. Like, that's what this, your homepage should be. Like you said, you have other pages on your website for, those kinds of like, let's get to know each other better. But that first look should be like your profile picture. I've actually never online dated, but you know enough about it that, it should be your profile picture. That's so, it's like swipe left or swipe right. And so that's really what your homepage should be.
Yeah, I agree. Just sell yourself or whatever you're trying to push.
Yep. So, voted best, I think that's great. Durable medical equipment. This is kind of weird. There's this whole little bar with durable medical equipment, but there's nothing I can do with it. Like, there's nothing like, I'm interested in having you sell me durable medical equipment, or there's not like there's no call to action here. So it seems like it's useless. Like, it's just kind of wasted real estate because there's nothing I can do with it.
Yeah. So this is the problem with sites that are trying to push product that don't have a true retail site to do that. You can't call anyone to any type of action. They can't click here and go shop durable medical supplies. There's no catalog for them to go look at. So again, it's kind of unclear what you're trying to get me to do or to understand. If it's that you carry medical equipment, and you want someone to inquire or whatever it might be, again, I would play with how you set this up. The other thing I'll tell you is think about the consumer that's reading your website. Like, that font on this picture in that size is a little difficult for my eyes. So imagine the person or your target demographic that's going to be buying durable medical equipment from you. Is this an appropriate setup for them trying to figure out if they're going to come shop it from you?
Yep. If all else fails, go one size bigger.
Yes.
that's my rule of thumb on font. And, I have issues that on my own. I actually had somebody check out my website the other day, and he's like, your buttons at the top, those are a little tough to read. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they are. Because when you look at your own stuff, you become a little, nose blind. You become a little blind to like what you're looking at. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. I do need to increase those. And so we all do it. We all fall subject to this. But yeah, great point that somebody that really needs durable medical equipment might be an older senior. But the white on the black, you can see it, but having it bigger or bolder would definitely be better. And then here at the bottom, there's a newsletter. Sign up today, gain access to exclusive content through our newsletter. Inherently, nothing wrong with that. But let's be a little more sexy. Let's put a little more pizzazz. What kind of exclusive content? Like, is there giveaways? Are there coupons? Can I, what is exclusive? Like, make me want to be a part of that newsletter. How is it going to change my life? Maybe even some testimonials on the side, like best pharmacy newsletter ever, or, something like that. Like, so I think it's good. But I think you can go from good to great by just adding a little sizzle on there.
Yeah, and I'd also like, this looks out of place on this website. The formatting, the padding, all of that stuff is off.
It's
like,
different.
Feels
Yeah.
like a weird iframe that wasn't adjusted into the site. So again, like, you go from this really nice kind of clean look, and then it starts to fade as you go down the page. You want to keep your best foot forward here. So however this is set up, widening it, making it more wide, and then adding a little more content that says, hey, we give out 20% plus off, on our weekly newsletters, and, specials every Wednesday, or whatever it might be. That's going to grab me a little more than, oh, these guys are just trying to take my info so they can spam the hell out of me, right? That's what we stay away from.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's their webpage. So it's actually pretty short homepage from usually what I see. You know, there's the About Us services. The one thing that I will say about menus is, to me, just my personal opinion, you obviously can come in with any like data, but to me, the thing you want people to do the most should be the most left button. So to me, this says you want me to go to the About Us the most. Like that's what you want me to do. Because we in the US read left to right. So the very first thing that people see is often should be the most important, at least in my opinion. So if you want people to refill and transfer online, I would try to move those buttons to the most left and put your least important things over to the right. That's just how I've kind of learned. I don't know if I learned that from somewhere or just whatnot, but how do you talk about menu buttons and menu options?
Yeah. So again, if you came and told me we really want to focus on driving refill traffic through the website, then there's nothing about this section that screams that out to me. As you mentioned earlier, like where the secondary Kemper drug and gift is, you could easily make those two massive calls to action with, you know, the refill your prescriptions or transfer your prescriptions to us now or whatever it might be, and have those really pop for what you're trying to get them to do. And then the rest of your menu is, again, somebody has to be sold on the homepage, and then they're digging in to get more because now they believe you have the solution or you potentially have the solution for what they're after. And then they'll start to dig into those content pages.
Yeah, so really quick, before I was going to go and click here, but I noticed this mobile and I'm like, I don't really understand what mobile means as a menu button. So I'm going to click it and see what happens.
Okay.
Oh, so it's like they're apps.
Yeah.
Okay. So using the word mobile didn't help me to understand, like maybe download our apps or access our apps or, you know, something like that, a little more descriptive. I had no idea what mobile meant. So, all right.
And then also they had on the bottom of the page, the same thing, download our app. The thing is I don't know what your app does. Like if it's an extension of your web page, there's not a lot of utility. So why would I download the app? That seems like a lot of work. I can just come to your web page. So if it's download our app for easy refill access, right? Download our app.
Tell them the benefit.
Yeah. Profile, whatever it might be, so that there's, again, you're giving them a reason or that call to action that's clear and concise for this is why you should download our mobile app.
Yeah, I love the idea of using this bar for the big call to actions. You know, if you really want people to transfer prescriptions to you, I could easily see like, you need to be a patient of Kemper. Transfer now and experience the difference. Like, you know, bold claims that are like, oh, that got my attention. I could really see that bar being used a lot better. So, all right, we're finally going to click on COVID vaccine information and see what it is. Okay, so it's basically about receiving the vaccine from the pharmacy. This text needs to be broken up. Like there should be, you know, 1 to 2 sentences and then a paragraph break. It's too hard to read like all in one big massive thing. I know that's something that I've gotten better with is especially since I've been writing blogs now for almost 2 years. I've learned that long paragraphs don't actually make for good reading. So the more you can break it up and the more you can highlight, you know, I again, I haven't even read this, but please call us at to schedule an appointment. You might even put that front and center, like right up there, COVID-19 vaccine. Please call us to schedule an appointment. You know, really just big and bold. That way, that's the action you want them to take.
Yeah.
And then like for some of these other things, like we will begin, which typically takes, I love telling people what to expect. Because the way that you make them happy is you tell them what they should expect. You deliver what they expected, and then you remind them what they expected. And now they're like, oh, I'm very satisfied because I got exactly what I expected. And so I love the fact that you're like telling them what to expect, but maybe even spell that out again, like in little sections, like what to expect when you get your vaccine from Kemper Drug, and bullet point, it'll take 5 to 10 minutes of this. Bullet point, you'll need to fill out this paperwork. Bullet point, make it very easy and consumable and step by step. Might help with that a little better. let's see, current store hours, submit. What am I submitting?
Yeah, it's a little confusing here.
I'm going to click it.
Yeah, so this looks like something else embedded in the site. Again, the formatting changed. The
Jot
look
form.
changed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it went to jot form. It went to a jot form.
That's not working, huh?
That's not, yeah, something in their jot form is not working, which sucks. It sucks on many levels. One, this was the main call to action on the homepage. So how many people have gone to their homepage, clicked it, came here, and then just got lost?
Yeah.
And that's where, you talk about people leaking, or, you lose patients before you even know you had them. And this is not unusual, unfortunately, in a pharmacy website, because guess what? We're not website builders. Like, we just don't, and we forget to go back and check things. So at some point, this might have been a form where you could, fill it out and put your information in, but somewhere along the way, something got broke or something got changed, and there's nothing here to actually submit. So,
Yeah. I would revisit it. If you guys are done utilizing the forms, I would definitely pull the calls to action off and change them to something else. And if you guys are still using this, then I would get the linkage fixed, as quickly as possible.
yeah, I did like, though, how when I clicked this button, it opened in a new tab. I personally like things opening in a new tab. That way I can easily go back to where I started, rather than trying to navigate a bunch of back buttons, especially when you leave kind of your website or whatnot. But I like that. I like that it opened it up in a new tab. So good job there.
So that's fantastic on desktop. It's a little more challenging on mobile. So
Yep.
on mobile, when you get a bunch of new pages, so like most sites, what I'll see, if you click on the refill, it's going to take you to, it look like Pioneer. So a Pioneer refill page. If you click on the COVID shot, it's going to take you to a jot form page. So if you happen to be going through that experience on mobile with a ton of redirects, think about that from your use case. You have 4 or 5 different pages open. You have to actually zoom out of those pages, go through your folder, click back to the other pages, because you can't utilize the back button. So it's a double-edged sword, but on desktop, it's phenomenal when you just have new folders open and you can just jump through your folders. So
Yeah.
that's something to think about too.
That is important. Even on my mobile, I still probably like the tabs, but I'm an expert tab user on mobile,
Yes.
and probably most people aren't.
I love tabs. I love tabs. It's just something to think about.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. And to that point, on mobile, does it really need to pop out? Like, there's some things that you might need to pop it out, but on other things, it may not be really necessary. So,
Right.
Alrighty, so that's pretty much all we're going to go through. They obviously have some other services here. Maybe I'll just click on one just to have it come over here. So pharmacy came to home delivery. Again, the same kind of font, a little hard to read there. There's nothing uber sexy about this. And I use that term loosely, just like exciting. Like, I expect a pharmacy to have over-the-counter pain medication. Like, that's just kind of meeting a basic expectation. Just like when I always tell people, like, you shouldn't market, fast and friendly service. It's like, that's what people expect at a pharmacy. What else do you do for me? So kind of like, this is an opportunity for you to say, like, what else we do for you. So this could probably be beefed up in the sense of, like, what makes you special? If you had 30 seconds to get somebody to choose your pharmacy over somebody else, what would that service be? And that's the kind of stuff that I would highlight here. Certainly further down the page, you can highlight some of the more basic services and the more basic things that you do. But again, this very first, above the fold, when you click over to a new page, it should be your, most interesting, most eye-catching stuff that you provide that maybe other people in your town, don't. We're the only pharmacy that offers free delivery, something like that. That really makes you different and special.
Yeah, or put some value on it. Join our newsletter to receive free delivery on all items ordered, right? Like, you can play with those things even to make them valuable. Are those clickable links, like the orange durable?
The orange ones are, but not the other ones.
And where does it take you? Like, if you click on durable medical equipment, to the medical page. Okay.
So it just takes to a medical page.
Okay.
Which it all looks nice. I mean, that's the thing is it looks nice. It looks clean. I mean, you look like a legit pharmacy. I wouldn't question your authority or integrity or anything. But I will just say, like, you're probably not making any extra money because of the website. And you know, 5-10 years ago, that was probably okay. But in this day and age where we need to grab every single dollar from our community that we possibly can, I think there's a lot of opportunity to just complete the circle a little better, to either make it easier for people to, you know, make appointments with you, for example, the vaccine and the jot form, or to sell some of this medical equipment, show some of the, you know, things, you know, even if you're not going to go all the way to selling online, highlight some of the things that show pictures. People love visual, you know, things instead of just diabetic shoes or nebulizers. Like, show pictures, show somebody purchasing a product, you know, that kind of thing. There's lots of different ways that you can drive sales with just imagery and some of those things. But, you know, these are over the counter. You know, a lot of them are, obviously, maybe not all of it, but a lot of the DME, the stockings and other things are over the counter, and you can be able to submit those online. I mean, that's what you do, AJ, is help them, like, basically add that functionality
all day long. So the thing I'll get to, and you mentioned this, is, you know, these are what I considered glorified landing pages. These were the old digital business cards, and nothing wrong with those. You should absolutely be online. And if this is your first foot at being online, this is how you should be online. And then when you look to start changing things, so some people get intimidated, like, hey, I don't want to sell online yet. Even just having an online catalog available where customers can click on DME and go through 50 or 100 or 200 DME products that they can't even purchase online, but they can come to your store to buy. If I can pick the product out at 9 o'clock at night while I'm laying in bed to come buy from you tomorrow, there's still a lot of utility, whether you take the transaction online or not. And so if you think about how all of us shop, it's rare that we just take the chance on walking in somewhere or driving out of our way somewhere without a little pre-vetting or a little pre-shopping online to know that, oh, they in fact do have this for me to go and make the purchase tomorrow.
No, that's a very, very good point. And the last thing that I will say is, you know, these pages are useful, especially when it comes to like a keyword and SEO standpoint, because Google is crawling is what it's called. You know, they go through all these websites and they pay attention to what words you're using. And so there's probably some ways, like medical equipment. I don't know what city Kemper's in. I didn't look at the address before, but let's just say, you know, Louisville, medical equipment in Louisville, Texas, you know, kind of thing. Like, use some of those keywords in your headings, because then they're tagged as headings that then Google knows, hey, these are important words. They're telling me these are important words, so I better pay attention. And the next time somebody goes to medical equipment, you know, near me, and they're in that same city, your page is more likely to pop up because Google's like, they're looking for this. They've told me that those are important words. I see a match. Let's show them to that person. And so these pages are important, and the words on these pages are important as well.
Right. Yeah, completely. Unique content's really important, and then location is important in your content.
Yep. Alrighty. So that is all we will do for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got some information. If you have any specific questions, go ahead and post below, and look for some more of these. We're going to do some more of these, and we're always happy to help you. AJ, if somebody needs to get a hold of you, what is your best contact information?
Honestly, if you want to send me an email at aja@drugstore2door.com, that's an easy place to get us. We're on every social platform, so you can find me by AJ Asgary on TikTok. You can find me as Drugstore2Door on Instagram, Facebook. So there's a lot of places that you guys can get a hold of us, or you can go to drugstore2door.com, and there's ways to get to us there as well.
Alrighty, so that is it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we look forward to doing this again. So adios.
Yeah, it was awesome.